Okay, so in this video, we're going to start our unit conversions, or also called dimensional analysis. So I want to remind you of a few things. Whenever I write a number, I always want to write the units. Now I know that in your homework, sometimes I tell you not to write the units. I'm only telling you not to write the units on your homework because I don't want you to mess up the system, the grading system. Okay? I'm telling you when I want your final unit in, so I'm assuming if your number is correct, it's because you put it in the correct units. Okay? But if you were to, like next semester when you're here, you want to write everything out with the units if you're handwriting something out, like in a lab report or something like that. You want to always have the units. Now, when we're talking about the units in our calculations, as we're going through, just like I did previously when we were doing the energy, not only did I write my numbers, but I included the units, and then I included the units in the math. So if I squared this, I also squared the number and the unit. So you want to include your units when you're doing your calculations. So let's just a refresher, if I multiply a unit by a unit, now that unit is squared if it's the same unit. If I add the same units together, then it just remains. And if I divide the same units, they cancel out. Okay, so if I'm trying to get rid of a unit, I want to divide by that unit to cancel it out. All right, so we're going to use a technique to solve problems called dimensional analysis. Now, these problems, you don't have to have any formulas. You just have to use the units to help guide you as to what the next step is going to be. Okay, so just letting the units, the dimensions, to kind of help us analyze the problem. All right, what you're going to need is you're going to need this guy. I know we introduced it at the beginning of the chapter. Now we're going to start using it. Okay. Anytime I'm trying to go from one thing to another, say I'm trying to go from like kilograms to grams, the only difference between a kilogram and a gram is the little prefix kilo. So now I have to talk about, well, what does that mean? So remember, we need to know, we need to have our prefixes, our symbols, and lowercase and uppercase matter, because there's a capital M and a lowercase m, so capitalization matters. And we need to know the 10 to the power. So is it 10 to the negative number, 10 to the positive, and what is this exponent? Okay, so we're going to come back to this chart a lot, and I'm going to show you how to use this chart. So the best way to kind of figure out how to do these problems is we're going to practice. I'm going to go through a bunch of these problems in your videos right now, and then your homework, your second part of your homework, is just a bunch of these problems. Okay? So this problem says convert 30 mils to quarts. And I give you a little guide there. It says 1 liter is equal to 1.057 quarts. All right, so how I want you to approach every problem is I want you to say, well, what am I looking for? What is it in this problem that I'm looking for? So you say, okay, I'm looking for quarts. So I'm trying to find my final answer in quarts, which is QT. Okay? Then the next thing I want you to say is, well, what did they give me in the problem? Write down anything they give me. So they told me it was 30 mils, and they gave me this conversion. They said 1 liter was equal to 1.057 quarts. All right, so now I have everything they gave me. So now I say, okay, well, I got to start somewhere. So I want to start with what looks simpler. So this has 1 unit, this has 2 units and an equal sign. So if it has an equal sign, we don't want to start with that, okay? This is going to be a conversion. So we want to start with our 30 mils. So we have 30 mils. I'm trying to get to quarts. So then I ask myself, is there anything that relates milliliters to quarts? So I've already used this guy. The only other thing I have is this, which has liters in quarts. So what this tells me is I can't go directly from milliliters straight to quarts. I'm going to have to go from milliliters, then to liters, then I can go to quarts. All right, so I need to get to liters first. So another way you can write this is I'm going to go from milliliters to liters to quarts. Okay? So I have milliliters, I want to get to liters. So if I want to change my unit from this to this, I need this unit to disappear. So for this unit to disappear or to cancel out, I have to divide by that unit. So I'm going to divide by milliliters, and on top is what I'm trying to go to. I'm trying to get to liters. So I want my milliliters to cancel, and I want to get to liters. So those are the units. You do the units first. Then I have to say, well, what numbers go here? I need some sort of conversion that relates milliliters to liters. So let's look at this. This is milliliters, and this is liters. It's the same measurement unit, but the difference is this prefix. So let's go to our prefixes. So here's our prefix. We said it was milli. So here's milli, that's the little m. So I want to know what does milli stand for. So milli stands for 10 to the negative 3. Okay? So milli is 10 to the negative 3. So if I come over here, I could write that down. Like my little m stands for 10 to the negative 3. So what that means is that my little m, 1 milli, is equal to 10 to the negative 3. This is the biggest thing that people make a mistake on, is that they want to put the 10 with the milli, but the milli stands for it. So whatever you need to do, however you want to remember it, the 10 goes on the opposite side. So if the prefix is here, the 10 goes here. If this stands for milli, which is 10 to the negative 3, then you put the 10 to the negative 3. So 1 milli, whatever, milliliter, milligram, milli, whatever the unit is equal to 10 to the negative 3 of whatever that initial unit was. So 1 milliliter is 10 to the negative 3 liters. So this is how we use the prefix chart, okay? So now I'm in liters. My milliliters will cancel. Milliliters cancel, and I'm in liters. I want to go from liters to quarts. So liters go on the bottom, quarts go on top, because I want my liters to cancel. So for them to cancel, it has to go on the bottom. So then I say, do I have anything that's going to relate liters to quarts? This guy. So I've got 1 liter and 1.057 quarts. So this 1.057 has to go with quarts. So wherever I put the quart, that's where I put the 1.057. Liters cancel, so the only unit I have left is a quart. So I know that my unit is a quart. Now I have to do the math. So the top is multiplication, then you divide by the bottom. So I'll write this out so you can see it. So this would be 30 times 10 to the negative 3 times 1.057 divided by 1 times 1. Okay, so 30 times 10 to the negative 3 times 1.057 divided by 1 times 1. So all you really have to do is multiply the top. When you multiply that, you get 0.03171. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, what about sig figs? What about all that? Okay. Now, we can do sig figs. It's all multiplication, so this is 3. We don't use the 10 to the power, and then this is 4. So we should have 3 sig figs. So that would be 0.0317. But I'll tell you this. On my quizzes, on my tests, on my homework, on all of that, I'm going to tell you when I want you to worry about sig figs and when I don't want you to worry about sig figs. And this problem, I just want you to see if you can do a conversion. So I'm not going to make you take a lot of time to also figure out the sig figs. So when you're putting it into the system, I'm going to tell you how many decimal places I want, and you just do that. Okay? I'm going to have sig fig specific problems, and then these are conversion problems. So I'm going to keep them separated. So all you have to worry about is, can you do the math, can you do the conversion? Okay? I'm going to stop the video here, and then I'm going to do the next video. What I recommend doing, though, is if you feel comfortable, you can go ahead and you can start trying the other problems out. You can practice them, see if you can do it, and then watch the video and see if you got it right or see what you messed up on. All right? So the next video, we'll do more conversions.